right, guys. My mic is off. Let me know if you can hear me, please. This is my first time doing this, so I have no idea what I'm doing.
You
Word up. Yeah, I got no idea what I'm doing.
hey,
All good.
sound good.
Can
You
you
go, Wells.
sound good? All right, word. So let's get everybody time to get into the room. Um, Unlike my YouTube streams, I'm actually going to be a little prepared for this. I want this to be comprehensive. I want it to be something that isn't so much. It's not about I don't like debate. It's that there is no room for debate when we're here to educate. I hope that makes sense. Because at the end of the day, what we're trying to do here is properly emit the information that's being omitted by the masses, by the people that keep thinking that they can just make up whatever they want. It's just it's one of these crazy things that you see speaking all the time, or you see people just I don't know. They latch on to misinformation like if it's glue, and I don't know why, but it is what happens. And the whole problem that we're running into nowadays um, is that nobody knows what's right, nobody knows what's wrong, nobody knows anything. Everybody's just going off of what they're hearing. Hearsay doesn't stand up anywhere. When there's an actual problem that requires resolution, fact remains is that nobody cares about somebody's opinion on the matter. People want to know what actually happened. What is it that caused this person to lose their shit? What is it that caused this person to make that dumb decision or that smart decision? It's bare bones stuff. The idea that everything needs to be, excuse me, that everything needs to be spotless, picture perfect, and handed to you on a platter. I mean, it's just I don't understand it, right? I think a lot of us understand that that's just not real life. And at the end of the day, we are all here to achieve a goal, right? It's not necessarily to, I don't know, lie to ourselves. I don't really know how else to put it, honestly. Um, Go ahead, brother.
I mean, it's just you go about the idea behind all that is coming down to one managing expectations. Having some management of your expectations, right? Like everyone thinks there's only one level to what could happen, right? And like this is the only level to believe. But again, when you have a field of options available in front of you, you have to somehow temper your expectations as well and look at it from the flip side and just see what could be, right? At least try to have a flip side understanding because so many people, like you said moments ago, hear something, misinformation, one time and roll with it as if it was the gospel fucking spoken by the Lord Savior himself.
Right. And that's a major problem because what ends up happening is that people end up thinking that it makes sense to do something that it doesn't make sense to do. And again, people can do whatever they want with their money. But at the end of the day, why are you here? The whole objective of this space is to set up a new type of platform where people can come and learn what proper cryptocurrency is. I even have a whole thing here where it's even typed out nice and neat because I really don't want to miss anything. I really want people to understand how important this is, especially now more than ever, because these are things that we've been talking about for 3 years, nonstop. And guess what? We are not the only people, right? I mean, now we're getting to a point where it's really time to stop fucking around, pull your head out your ass, and stop pretending. Because guess what? Today it matters. Today isn't last week. Today isn't the day before yesterday where it didn't matter, right? And the whole thing about it is it's not about who's right and who's wrong. Like, people really need to let that whole notion disappear, because it's about what's true and what's not with respect to what we're all trying to accomplish here, which is attaining freedom, right? And you can't have freedom if you don't have financial freedom. Can I get an amen? I mean, I don't know how
Amen.
you how you free, but your ass is waking up every day to go to work, right? You're not free.
Yes, sir.
So, it's about establishing a foundation. And the thing that people have a hard time wrapping their head around is the simple fact that the foundation that crypto allows you to lay is one that is generational wealth at the outset, right? Not 10 years from now, not even 5 years from now, but in that first cycle that you experience, odds are you will be able to attain some level of serious wealth for yourself, to the point where you can now do something that is going to allow you to put your family a step ahead. And that's what it's about at the end of the day. I mean, look, if you don't have a family and you don't have all these particulars that I'm talking about in general, keep in mind that your success is whatever you deem it to be. So don't take whatever the speaker is saying into mind, right? At the end of the day, we're talking about finding your level of success, whatever that success may be. And I'm not trying to be Tony Robbins. It's just that's what it is, right? At the end of the day, go ahead, my brother.
Well, yeah, it comes down to the comparison, right? Like when you begin comparing yourself against anyone else, it's so often that you compare yourself to someone who's doing better, but
Right.
you lack to compare yourself against someone who is in a worse off position,
Correct.
right? Like I guarantee on your way to work you see homeless people, but you aren't comparing yourself to those people,
Never.
right? You're never even once comparing yourself to those people, being like, I am in a much better position
Mm-hmm.
than that person could be or would be or have been, because I've been in that situation, nigga. You know what I mean? Like I've been in that situation, right? And so, like, just from that same perspective, like, stop looking at it from who's doing so much better, who has so much more money, who's doing whatever, and just again look at it from both perspectives. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, look at it from both sides. From the flip side, you're doing great compared to maybe even more than half of America. If you're able to,
Correct.
if you got more than $1,000 saved up in your bank account, you're doing better than like 90% of America right now.
Repeat that.
If you have more than $1,000 saved up in your bank account right now, this moment, you're doing better than like 90% of America.
That's right. I mean, that's profound, because I don't think a lot of people really understand how real that is. Like, a lot of us have the ability to just go on ahead and say, man, I need X amount of dollars. Let me go peel some from this farm. Like, I think, I don't even care what farm you farming. Just bear with me and listen to the story, right? We live in an ecosystem at a point in time where we can lay our capital down the line, provide liquidity, and generate yield, right? And the yield is not paltry, right? Now, at one point, it was ridiculous, but now we're now in line with the rest of the schleps out there, right? Which is fine. But at the end of the day, it's about what are you doing with the capital that you're generating, right? I mean, and this is why I think crypto is so hard for people. You mean, what am I doing? I'm making money. Sure. But why are you making money? Right? Why are you here? Why do you want $1 million? Do you want 2 million? Do you want 20 million? Like, why are you here? It's so easy to just be there and not actually do anything, right? And this is why having the right tools in your toolbox is the key, right? How many people are now looking at what's happening in the US as adults, right? And understanding that they're screwed. I mean, I, for one, can tell you as a person that works on Wall Street, and I'll qualify myself in a little bit. I'm just waiting for more people to get into the room. As a person that works on Wall Street every day, you know, I hear people talking. And these are people that you think are financially astute, right? This is what you think of people that work on Wall Street. But the fact remains that they're not. They're regular people like you and me. Except for that, I made it a mission of myself to learn this shit. Everybody doesn't do that. Everybody's just living day to day, collecting a paycheck. And that's just what it is. So, how do we get people to buy into this cryptocurrency idea? Right? Like, why do we care? Why should they care? Why? Right? And that's a big question. Right? And this is the whole thing behind that question that makes me think, as a person that I know at one point wasn't into crypto, didn't give a rat's ass about it, like most people that come from outside of it, I had to understand why this thing even existed in the first place. You know, who cares? We already got money. We already got credit cards. We already got this. We already got that. We already got all these mechanisms to transfer value through. So why should I care about cryptocurrency? Hell, the Congress only deems gold and silver the thing you can use for money. Like that's what the Constitution says. And I'm going to talk about that later. Like, we're going to go from the top all the way to the bottom. And this is being recorded, so you can reference it later, because you have to understand this first lesson. If you don't understand this first lesson, then you could just need to shut the fuck up, because you have no foundation upon which to speak. You understand? Because why are we talking about things we don't understand or can't speak on? I don't get that. You know, I'm not going to tell you to go jack up the car and expect you to roll the motherfucker down the hill. Does that make sense? Because this is what a lot of people literally are out here fucking doing. And personally, I don't fucking get that shit, and I don't care for it, and I'm not going to support it. And I'm sure as hell not going to promote that bullshit. So if you don't know what the fuck crypto is and why it exists and why the fuck we're here, well, grab a damn seat and let me help you learn the story. So, who created crypto? Right? And basically, we're going to get into the 5 W's. Right? Who, what, when, where, and why. Right? Why crypto? 5 W's of crypto. Right? So, who created this thing? Now, a lot of people say it's a character that goes by the name of Satoshi Nakamoto. Right? We really don't know. Could have been 3-letter agencies. You know, we really don't know. Could have been a random individual that just threw the name out there. Could have been a group of individuals. We really do not know. And this is what's important to understand. Right? Why is that? Well, this is why. We now live in a surveillance state. And it doesn't matter where in the world you live, unless you live in an island where there is no internet, right? Odds are you're being tracked, recorded, prodded, probed, some way, shape, or form. Whether you're just browsing the internet, buying something on Amazon, etc. Right? We all understand the surveillance economy. That's a real thing. I heard a little. Okay, somebody joined. Word. All right. So we understand that's a real thing. So, you know, keeping all of that in mind, what happens with technology over time, right? We see over time. Go ahead, brother.
Well, I mean, dude, I love exactly where you're going with on this one. Love the 5 Ws. Always love breaking stuff down, something people can remember. But yeah, the Who, it's been one of those things that people have been wondering about
Yeah,
forever. And like it's just another little story to try to keep the hype train meme thing going, whatever you want to
right.
call it, right? Just like who is this figure, and just like that perpetuates the story in and of itself. So I love just diving into the 5 Ws and all that good stuff,
Appreciate
man.
it, brother. Yeah, I mean, I think it's just imperative that people really wrap their head around the very basics, right? The very basics of what we're doing here, why we're doing it, and the importance and the significance behind it. Because it's so easy to get swept up in the hype. FOMO is contagious. We all get swept up in the FOMO. And this is why it's important to keep in mind these very basic elements of what we're doing, why we're doing it. And when we're thinking about technology, right, because this is what cryptocurrency is, it's a technology. And we're going to get to that next. Um, you know, we have to understand the dual nature of the very existence of technology because it's one of those things that it's naturally a Pandora's box because once you open it, you don't know what's going to come out of there, right? And this is one of those things that it's now open. It's out there. So does it really matter who created it? And I personally am of the frame of mind that it does not. And the reason that is because guess what? Just like they can create it, we can take it and make it better and do whatever we want with it because it's just an idea, right? We started out with basic Bitcoin and then you had a whole bunch of copy Bitcoins and then all of a sudden Ethereum came through and changed the game, right? And then all of a sudden we had Hex came through and changed the game. So throughout time, you just get these iterative steps in technology where you start out with the tricycle and then you step it up to the Cannondale or the Trek or whatever racing bike you want to throw out there. I don't know. I'm not a bike specialist, but you guys get the point, right? So that's how I like to think about the who aspect of crypto. In short, it doesn't matter who made it. The cat is out of the bag. So now it's time to use it to our benefit.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that leads into the why, and this is something that we all talk about when we go into why are you here? That's what Yoda told each
Well,
scholar.
hold on. Let me pause you because the way I got it laid out, and I don't want to divert from the why because the why is, in my opinion, the why is at every step of the
Yeah.
quest. Like every step of learning this stuff, you got to be constantly thinking of the why.
Mm-hmm.
Because we're going to talk about the what next, and then we're going to talk about the when, and then we're going to talk about the where, and then we're going to talk about the why crypto exists.
That's beautiful.
But the but check it out. But check it out because this is what I want to highlight.
Mm-hmm.
From your comment is that through each one of those elements that we're discussing, the who, what, when, where, and why. All of those elements have to spark that why thought in your brain.
100. 100.
Right? So, right, every time we're thinking of, next we're going to talk about what is crypto. Because now it's like, well, the hell, why am I learning this? Because this is now going to sound complicated. No, let me spit it out.
Cook.
You know, crypto is a digital medium for a peer-to-peer transfer of value without centralized entities being able to interfere, dictate any terms, or anything of the sort. Now, why do we care about that? Right? And again, why? Right? So Disciple nailed it because no matter which element we go on, when we go on this little journey of crypto, the 5 Ws of crypto, we need to comprehend who, the why behind the why behind the what, the why behind the when. I mean, the why behind everything is everything.
Yeah.
You know,
Yep.
every time you think, I think about a little kid every time I hear the word why, because there's always a why.
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
There's always a why. I don't think it matters what the topic is or what the answer is. There's always going to be a why, right?
Yeah.
And that's why, when you think about the 5 W's, you got to always keep in mind what the why is. So why does crypto being a digital medium for a peer-to-peer transfer of value without any intermediaries, why is that critical? The reason that's critical is because we've seen time and again what governmental institutions are willing to do to go out of their way to stop you from doing whatever you got to do, even though you're not a bad actor, even though you're not a terrorist, even though you're not whatever the hell they want to make up. It doesn't matter. Throw it up. Whatever freaking ridiculous thing they want to make up for the day. A virus, whatever. Who cares? Whatever it is, you're not it. But somehow you're being treated as if you are it. And that's happened to me. I'm sure I'm not the only person listening to this that's happened to. Because that's common. In the world we live in, you're guilty, period. You're not even guilty until proven innocent. You're just fucking guilty. Because everything you do in a financial...
Yo, that's exactly what I was saying. Like, so quick, bro. Everyone thinks something gets thrown out there and it's an automatic guilty until proven innocent,
Mhm.
bro. Like, it's so backwards from the way it actually truly is in this whole, judicial system, if you actually want to get real with it. But everyone perceives it from the exact opposite perspective.
Correct.
They literally look at it from guilty until proven innocent, which is wild because then you could just go around, which people do,
Yep.
unfortunately. Why? Because it's exactly the perception that they want.
Mm-hmm.
They want this perception of guilty until proven innocent somehow, some way, and it's easy enough people do. Unfortunately, allegations get thrown out all the time,
Well,
and I can
let's
name a
think about
few.
this for a second. It goes deep, right? And I'm about to blow your mind. Think about TV, right? Now let's think about TV back in the day. How many versions of Pacific Blue were there? How many versions of NYPD Blue were there? Those were the same show, different coasts.
Countless.
Exactly,
Yep.
right? CSI, same deal. Countless iterations of CSI, right? I can keep going down the list of cop shows and all the iterations, NCIS, there was freaking all over the fucking nation, right? CIS, what they have? New Orleans, Los Angeles, like you fucking name a city, they had one, right? They got all these shows talking about cops and how they do this, they do that. I mean, you can go on TV right now and find fucking 20 cop shows. Don't matter the country. But go try to find a show about a
Agreed.
lobotomist or some shit. You're not going to find it. An athlete, whatever. You're just not going to find it. Any other random thing, you're not. You're going to be hard pressed to find it. You're going to have to search for it, in fact. I mean, that's something to think about. I'm talking about regular basic cable, right? Like what everybody has access to.
Right, yeah. I mean, shit, I was thinking about Blue Bloods and all this stuff
That's right.
anyways.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, I'm right there with
Yeah. But this is how they do it, right?
you.
They create this notion that this is what normal is, when in fact it's not. Not at all. Once you actually read, right? And this is what's hard for a lot of people is to read. And I get it, but if you want the right information, you got to get it from the fucking source. I'm sorry. Like that's just what you got to do. Otherwise, you're going to step in a pile of shit and you're not going to want to. At the end of the day, that's how it goes down. And just to get this out there, because I forgot, and this is my first time doing the spaces. If you're trying to speak, just give me a second. I'm trying to run through this whole slew of ideas I want to get out there, and then I'll open the floor for questions. But for now, I just want to run through what the lesson is, so that everybody has a lesson on the table, and then we can have our little discussion about what we think about what's right versus what's wrong. Because all of this, how I'm about to break it down, you can't disagree with it because it is what it is. And just to give you
Yeah, guys, and if you're enjoying the space, go ahead and share this. Like it, share it out, share a tweet. Get people on in here. let everyone know exactly about what's going on. Time to learn about what crypto is, what we're here, what we're doing,
Right.
what we're actually in.
Yeah, and now more than ever, it's imperative that you learn, because now you got the wolves, right, circling outside, thinking that they can get inside when they can't, right? And this is why learning the bare minimum is the key to success, because all you have to do is get crypto right one time. You don't have to get it right more than once. But we're fortunate enough to be in an ecosystem where it doesn't matter. You're right, period. Pick a coin. I mean, the level of alpha in that is unfounded. You can't find a level of alpha out there, right? People have to pay people for that kind of alpha. And here we are just basking in it, ungratefully so in most cases, as you stare out in the social space and you see people's reaction. Because I'm going to tell you what, everybody might be kumbaya today and yesterday because of this SEC shit. But guess what? In the real world, what you're doing all the time is what fucking matters. Not what you're doing today just because some shit went down. Because guess what? That shit that went down ultimately fades away. And people forget. And so does the motherfucker that was talking shit last week and the day before yesterday and the day before that day. They're going to start talking shit again. So you guys can have your kumbaya fun. That's cool. But we're going to stick to the facts over here. And we're going to stick to reality. And we're going to stick to success and winning. Because we're not about changing colors and stripes. We only rock one way. And that's the right way. So we're going to keep moving on that note. So what is crypto? Right? That's important. We already went over who. We already discussed the what. Right? Digital medium for peer-to-peer transfer of value. With no intermediaries, because the intermediaries will find ways to get in your way. And that's exactly why. And we see it every day. Right? You go spend $1, you're paying to spend that dollar. You don't have control over your money. Right? And after we go over the 5 W's, we're going to go over the regulatory bodies and mandates. So you guys can understand how they're overstepping. Because that's not talked about enough. People in crypto don't know shit about regs. I deal with this bullshit all fucking day. So I eat this shit for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. It's bullshit. But it's important to understand what they can actually do, what their jurisdictions are, what their mandates are, so that you can understand. And I've talked about this before, right? But people don't listen because they think it could never happen to them. But guess what? Done told you. Told you guys this shit was going to happen too. Because it's what they do, right? It's what they do. So here we go. When crypto came to be. Now, for those of you that know the Bitcoin history, you guys are well aware that it kind of got launched at December 31st, 2008 UTC time, right? Like right before midnight or something like that. But we're going to go on ahead and just give it the January 1st, January 3rd time frame, 2009. But, ultimately, it didn't really catch on until the pizza transaction, the Papa John's pizza transaction. I think it was March 20th, 2010. So that was, a whole year and 3 months, 15 months total of really no true market activity on chain. So you can even look this up, and you'll see, like, the price action was pretty much flatline, and then it would jump up and then kind of crater down and stuff like that at the beginning. And that's just kind of how I went at the beginning. It was just weird like that. But one thing to note is that we're talking about the depths of the financial crisis when this came to be. Don't you think that's quite the coincidence? It is quite the coincidence in my book. And that's one of the reasons why I find it very telling that this technology was literally birthed. And I mean in its utile form, right? Because digital money has existed really since probably the 1970s, but not in its utile form. If you think about virtual money, I mean, it's existed in video games, forever, right? So at least the 80s or whenever the first video game used some form of transfer of value, right? Because that's really all money is. It doesn't have to be currency. Money is whatever people will accept in exchange for something else. I mean, that's really the very bare bones definition of what money is, right? And that's not getting fancy with the divisible and transferable and movable and all of that. We're just talking about very bare bones, what people are willing to accept for an exchange, right? So, bottom of the financial crisis, January 2009, the market ultimately bottomed out in March 2009. And here is this thing called Bitcoin that people are just ignoring, right? I mean, we're talking about 2009. For those of you that are not aware, today is August 2nd, 2023. Okay? So we're talking about 13 years and 8 months of the institutional Wall Street legacy financial houses just ignoring it. Just ignoring cryptocurrency, at least publicly, right? Because we know how they work. They'll say one thing and be doing a completely different thing, right? So what do you say to that, right? Now, all of a sudden, the institutions are showing up. What do you think comes next, right? You got to suspect that they're going to do what they did in 2021, 2022. Hype it up, hype it up, hype it up, and then just dump it on you. Because that's how it works. But for now, they got to down talk it. Well, right now they're trying to get that ETF passed, and I think they're close to getting it passed. They got to do the dance, make it look like it was rough. But ultimately,
I love that.
ultimately they're going to pass those. Because, I mean, we're talking about BlackRock, man. Right? We're talking about BlackRock.
They literally can't even tell them no because BlackRock has so much control on everything. Like, try and tell them no. See what they can do.
Well, interesting anecdote that some people might not be aware of. BlackRock manages assets for the Treasury. They are one of their major book runners. So, can you say conflict of interest, anyone? That's right.
You already know conflict of interest right there.
That's right. But these are the things that people just, it's like the antitrust situation in the country. How do you have all these major, I mean, look at what happened with Comcast and Verizon and all these major cable and internet service providers. I mean, they got behemoth size to the point that they just had certain local areas in major cities, locked down. There was no competition. There was literally many monopolies all over the U.S. and nobody really gave a fuck. And then they would just complain, and it's like, well, did you miss that part in class where monopolies are bad? I don't know, but apparently everybody missed that shit, bro. I don't know. It's crazy, but everybody will complain about it. I don't know why holding people accountable is so hard, but they're not about that shit here. So we got 13 years, 8 months of Bitcoin activity, cryptocurrency activity thereafter. And only now do you have the big dogs, the Fidelities, the Vanguards, the BlackRocks. And I mean big dogs. Those three right there is at least 30 trillion. Period. Those three right there. Things to keep in mind. And I'm talking about assets under management. So that's going to be assets that are going to be directly exposed to having the ability to swap from some legacy fiat instrument into some Bitcoin backed instrument. Now, the thing to understand is the mechanics. Why do we even care? Ultimately, if done correctly, the presumption is that the dollars going into these products flow into Bitcoin. Question, and that's how that goes. So, 14 years essentially since when crypto came to be. Why do you think they waited that long? Do you think that they don't have a position? Do you think that you're properly positioned? I mean, those are two things you got to be thinking about as we move into 2024, and they're being boisterous about their positioning behind crypto publicly.
Well, I mean, just think about exactly. So if it's the same concept as what you're seeing publicly is typically vastly different than what's available and likely privately, you
Right,
know? So if you ever see someone who shows you their wallet, for example, most times they have other wallets that have other assets as well,
right,
right? And so if they're coming to us publicly announcing Bitcoin with 153,000 that we all know of now all of a sudden because this number has been sent out and the media knows and it's been, sent out to the masses. They've been buying this stuff for a very long time, is my guess. They
correct.
hold quite a bit privately, is my assumption at this point in time, especially because now that they're showing it publicly, just imagine what they have privately.
Right. That's kind of the thing, right? Like, you can't see that, right? Like, when you even look at the Bitcoin list, the Bitcoin rich list, I think the website is bitcoinrichlist.org. I mean, you can just type in Bitcoin rich list and you'll find it. You'll see the distribution is so skewed, right? To, I think, the the bottom 2% of wallet addresses have some like minuscule amount of Bitcoin or something like that. I mean, I can't even remember, but it's so centralized. Well, I can pull it up. Hold on. What am I even saying? Just to give you guys the right information. Give me a second here. Bitcoin rich list.
I just did 40 push-ups. This shit got me
Nice.
up. God, keep spitting the truth, man. Let's get it.
Hey man, it's wild out here because the information's out there to be had. And all we're doing is regurgitating the same information that Richard Hart provides in all of his streams. We're not doing nothing fancy here. Keeping it real basic. So when you look at the Bitcoin rich list, it's the website is bitinfocharts.com. I don't know if there's a slug on that. Hold on. Yeah, there is a slug on that. But that's the website. The addresses with this is crazy. The addresses with more than 100,000 Bitcoin are four addresses.
Wow.
Four addresses. That's right. Four addresses. And those four addresses hold a total of 660,000 Bitcoin. So it's not like they're even packing any serious heat. So you guys got to understand that this notion of centralization and decentralization is in the numbers. It's not necessarily just in the design of the product, right? Because people believe Bitcoin is a certain way, when in fact it's another way, right? And this is kind of what's difficult about educating people in crypto. Like, everybody thinks that they have to pick a coin and all of that. And yeah, you kind of do, but you got to know the basics first before you can even pretend to think you can pick one. And that is what's lost in this conversation. I think it's very easy to get lost in the hype of wanting to get rich. But what's the point if you're not really going to be rich for long? Right? And I think that's lost on people, and that's why we like to stick to the basics. And we like to stick to generational wealth in terms of ideals, right? And ideology. We're not out here chasing the next Ferrari. So where crypto exists, crypto only exists on the internet. It does not exist on somebody's platform online. It does not exist on somebody's server. It does not exist in any one individual entity server. It literally is the internet. It's just like the internet. It is the internet. So, think of it. What's that one? It's kind of like that Chimera. Is it Chimera phenomenon from? Yeah, Chimera phenomenon. It's that Greek. So let me give you guys a definition. So a fire-breathing female monster with a lion's head, a ghost body, and a serpent's tail. So the thing about it is, it's kind of like doing two things at once, right? But in this case, everything at once, because we're talking about a lion's head, a ghost body, and a serpent's tail, right? Now, when you're thinking about something that lives online, how does something live online? It's just there. All you have to do is go to the domain name, the domain address, and you will have access to it. Simple, literally. Where crypto exists online. Now, why is that? Because that's the most accessible point for the masses. Everybody can just go touch that if they need. Now, finally, why crypto exists. Now, there's 3 reasons that come to mind for me off the top. It's basic human rights, fragile and undependable economic financial systems, and decentralization of oversight, control, distribution of economic, financial interest and competition, right? So let's think about it like this. Why crypto exists is because you do not control the money that you earn income in. If somebody wants to zero out your bank account right now, they can. Plain and simple. No doubt about it. That's how it goes down. And this is part and parcel, part of the problem and why crypto exists, right? How is it that you don't have the right to work hard for your money and be able to keep it? That's literally not a thing. You can't just do that, right? And that should not be the case. However, now it is. But people have to learn about it in the real sense, right? Because it's easy to get dissuaded by jumps in technology and not being able to understand what's in front of you. But at the end of the day, why are you here? Right? It's very easy to, again, show up for the game but not be ready, right? Like, you got to be ready to play. And that's what's hard for most people. So when we think about why crypto exists, the second thing that comes to mind is really looking out. When you look outside your house, your apartment, wherever you live, the fragile and undependable economic and financial systems that we're surrounded by and dependent on are everywhere. From, whether you're going to have a job next year or not, to whether your neighbor's going to have a job next year or not, to whether the prices are going to be where they are today, tomorrow or not. I mean, this is what we're living through right now in the 21st century in America, right? The cost of living goes up at a crazy rate. So all of these things, how do you keep up with that? It's not by working, because you can't work more hours. There's not any more hours to offer you. The cost of living is going up, not the number of hours available to work, right? So you're kind of screwed on that one. You got to figure it out. And most people don't have a clue as to how to figure it out. It's difficult. You gotta take risk, right? And it has to be calculated risk. And everybody isn't built for that. Some people just let the world run them over. Some people take action, right? And this is one of the reasons why being able to provide people with the proper crypto education is paramount, because this convoluted marketing, gimmicky stuff just doesn't cut it. It really doesn't cut it because it leads people down the wrong path, and ultimately, it's people's livelihoods is being lost in transit and during the course of these moves. It's not somebody's play money. You know, everybody doesn't have money to toss around like that. So I don't ever presume that people just have play money. So that's not my thing. And finally, you know, when you look at the financial landscape, and we're going to talk about this because after this, we're going to talk about the importance of PLSX and PLS. But I think I want to save that for last because I really want to go over the regulatory bodies and their mandates after we talk about this next item, which is just the decentralization of oversight, control, the distribution of economic and financial interests, and competition, right? When you look at something like Wall Street, when you look at something like Silicon Valley, when you look at all these industries that exist, you know, there's a barrier to entry to some degree, right? It doesn't matter. The question is, are you willing to put in the work to find the hole in the wall, right? And in most instances, people are not willing to do that. So it seems like everything is centralized. And in certain instances, in a lot of ways, yes, that is the case. However, there is always room to work in a new angle, right? But that's neither here nor there. The fact remains that ultimately, we do know that there is a control, right? Nepotism runs rampant in corporate America, for example, right? You can't just say, I'm going to do this and do it. Like, it's just, you got to jump through all these hoops just to get a job, right? All these things are true. Being able to maintain a business, right? Having a business in a certain jurisdiction is a problem, right? If there's a handout being given, you know, only certain people are getting that handout. Like, all these things are true, right? If you're running a business on the street or in a certain jurisdiction and you don't meet some ridiculous local requirement, you know, you're going to run into problems. And these are all things that are true. Nobody is following laws of the land. Plain and simple. Everybody's out here thinking that they have some type of power that was bestowed upon them by some imaginary, I don't know who the fuck. But the problem isn't so much that, right? Because people are always going to power trip. There's even a study on that. I think it's called the Stanford study or something. I can't remember what it's called. But I know it was...
Yeah, where they do the prisoners and
Yep.
yeah.
They even made a movie about it. Yeah. They even made a movie.
Prisoners and officers, whatever.
Yeah, yep. They even made a movie about it. So people are always going to power trip. And this is important to understand as a human. So how do we eliminate the human's ability to exercise control in an unduly fashion? You know, that's the real question. And that's by decentralizing oversight, control, distribution of economic and or financial interest and competition. I mean, Silicon Valley, you know, who's running that? You don't know who's running that. You think you know. You think it's these clowns on TV that they put in front of you. But no, it's not. It's not how it works. Those people are given money to start up their business. And guess what? That money ain't free. Those investors give that money up with something, with some expectation in return. Don't they? That's right. And we're going to get to all of that because that's exactly what the SEC, the Treasury, the Federal Reserve Board, and the CFTC are there to police and facilitate and organize, right? They're not there to get involved in things that have nothing to do with them because that's what cryptocurrency is. I literally just laid that out. Not anywhere did I mention an overseeing entity for cryptocurrency. You want to know why? Because there isn't one. That's you. The only overseeing entity in crypto is you. There is nobody else. So how do you make sense of things that you can't make sense of when there's nobody putting it in your hand. You got to dig. And you got to dig hard, right? Because everybody isn't throwing rich or hard in front of you like they are over the past couple of days because of the SEC nonsense, right? But how many people actually know what the SEC is there to do? How many people have actually dealt with the SEC? How many people knows what the SEC looks for? Very few people, especially in crypto. Never mind. Everybody in crypto, outside of the rich or hard ecosystem, they're not even doing real crypto in most instances. They're doing fake crypto because they're out there throwing unfinished projects, and people don't even know that they're not even buying real coins. They're buying testnet coins, and they don't even know it. Just because it's listed on some exchange, they think it's some real shit. I mean, that's really happening. And guess what? I'm going to go refer to the second item. What is crypto? Right? An online medium, a digital medium of transfer for peer-to-peers, right? With no intermediaries. So the fact that now we have the ability to remove intermediaries, meaning we don't need centralized exchanges, it's only a matter of time before these banks are removed from that nexus, from that pathway of you taking fiat and converting it into crypto. It's only a matter of time before that is seamless, right? Because once that element becomes seamless in one facet of the industry, whether it's fake crypto or not, it spreads like wildfire because that's just how it works, right? So that's the danger, once again, in why we don't need to fear who created crypto. Pointless. It's moot. Not relevant, right? Because once again, it's allowing us to exercise our basic human rights, to evade fragile and undependable economic and financial systems, and to decentralize the oversight, control, and distribution of economic and financial interests and competition. You see how this is all falling into place because these regulatory bodies don't follow their mandates. Let me give you the mandate of the SEC. The SEC has three mandates. It's to protect investors, which we all know they do not do. It's to facilitate capital formation, think securities law, right? When companies are private and they're preparing to go public, they have to prepare a pro forma package to submit with an S1 filing, right, that they give to the SEC so that the SEC can take a look and say, yeah, you motherfuckers is looking all right. You can go ahead and issue shares or whatever, right? That's what they're supposed to be doing, right? That's one of the three things they're supposed to be doing. The third thing is facilitating orderly and fair markets. Once again, think securities law, right? Are these brokers busting trades that they shouldn't be busting? Think AMC stock, GME, GameStop, right? Think that. Think all these events we've had over the past several years that everybody's aware of. We know that the SEC is failing left and right to enforce their mandate on themselves, which is for them to do their damn jobs. They're not doing that. What are they doing? They're going outside of their jurisdiction. That's what they're doing. Because that is what we have allowed as a people for these buffoons that are merely administrators to think that they can do. But no, we have to educate ourselves, read, understand what the monetary authority is in this country in the first place. Who is it that can dictate who can do and say what? Because the SEC actually cannot dictate what is money, what is not money. They can't. The only thing they can say is whether a company can issue a stock or not. That is it. Okay, and a bond. That is it. And warrants and all that other fun stuff, right? Literal security. They can't cover anything else. Sorry. That's literally what it says on your books. So if you have a problem with that, might want to go to check out Congress or the Senate or whoever else might care. because the people don't need to give a fuck because you have no jurisdiction over the people. You only have jurisdiction on the entities filing to issue securities within your economic system. That's a pro tip. Now we're going to move on to the U.S. Treasury. What does the Treasury do? Why do they exist? Why do we care? Well, let me tell you. The Secretary of the Treasury, along with select offices, impose restrictions and are the executive agency responsible for promoting, check this out, another thing that they don't do, right? Promoting economic prosperity and ensuring financial security, right? We know they're not doing that. We can see it when we look outside. We can see it when we look at the financials of the country. Another thing they're supposed to be doing. They're supposed to be the steward of U.S. economic and financial systems. Now, in my lifetime alone, there have been, let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, probably like 20 crashes and maybe 10 economic crises. Like, it's a joke, right? And I'm talking about the U.S. alone. The U.S. alone, okay? U.S. Treasury is who we're talking about, right? The U.S. Treasury also operates and maintains systems that are critical to the nation's financial infrastructure, such as the production of coin and currency, which, as if you don't know, is about 2% only floating around nowadays. 98% of the rest of the currency that's accounted for is digital. And that is also included in the form of credit, right? Checks and all that, traveler's checks and stuff like that, right? M2, M3, all that stuff, all those good stuff. The disbursement of payments to the American public, right? Think the IRS, right? Whoever issues you a refund, they're beholden to the Treasury for that, FYI. Revenue collection, again, think IRS, right? Guess who they work for? That's right. So again, how are they being stewards and how are they fostering and promoting economic prosperity and financial security? I don't quite get it, but that's the story. But let's keep going. Borrowing funds necessary to run the federal government. Well, look, if you don't know, let me educate you on that. At one point in time, the Treasury was issuing, I think, I'm trying to remember the data really. I didn't think I would talk about this, so I don't have it prepared. But at one point, they were probably issuing maybe 70, 80 billion a day in treasuries, across all tenors of time, right? Whether it's short, long. Let's see what they're doing recently, just to see what's going on. Just to see what they're issuing, because you have to understand, as long as you keep playing their game, right? What's happening is that you're beholden to paying those debts back, and the question you should be asking yourself is why. Who do I owe this to in the first place? Why do I owe this money? What? I didn't borrow it. Why do I have to pay it? Because guess what? What benefit are you seeing from any of the money that these people are taking? Well, what benefit are you gaining from it? I mean, these are real questions because guess what? You're expected to foot the bill. FYI. Okay, and this is something that you need to understand because it's real life, right? And guess what? It's once again why crypto exists. So, what do you do with that? Well, first of all, it's important to understand that, wow, year-to-date issuance of U.S. Treasury securities is $11.7 trillion. And that's 24% year over year as of August 2nd. And this is from SIFMA.org. If you don't know what SIFMA is, let me read out the name of Securities Industry and Financial Markets Association. So these guys basically track all of this financial data for us. In whatever way they see fit, right? But this is a statistic I knew I could pull from there. But this is important to understand because you, the so-called U.S. citizen, are expected to pay this at some point, right? And this is critical to understand because how are you going to pay this? Where are you going to get $100K per person to pay this? I don't know. I mean, sure, that's a story though, and they're sticking to it. Their next so-called responsibility is advising the president on economic and financial issues. Yeah, well, I think we can just move on from that one because if you look outside, you kind of see what they're doing with the economic situation here, right? So if the U.S. Treasury is behind supposedly helping with that, they can stop, right? And a couple of more, yeah, it's just, we got a couple more regulatory bodies to go through, and then we're done with the regulatory bodies, and then we'll move on to the importance behind PulseChain and PulseX, and then we'll wrap it up and get to questions and then, wrap it up. So the next regulatory body is a Federal Reserve Board. The system is comprised of the Board of Federal Reserve members. Then you got the 12 reserve banks, and then you got the FOMC, right? The Federal Open Market Committee is the FOMC. They're the people that dictate what's actually going to happen with the interest rate, right? These are people, you don't even know what their names are. You don't get to elect them. You don't know what their agendas are, but they determine your cost of living, your everything. They determine it. Whether you're going to have a good year financially, a bad year financially, all of that is determined by these people called the Federal Open Market Committee. FYI. So you should probably look into them. Number two, because again, this goes back to why crypto exists, right? We're decentralizing the oversight, the control, and the distribution, all in one foul swoop, just by removing the power from these people to control the value of money. You see, because now the market determines that value. They don't have that power anymore. Technology has removed that power from them, and this is why we get to win, right? Now, here's something that you should know about the Federal Reserve Board. When I was coming up in the game, they only had 2 functions that they performed. Now on their website, they apparently perform 5 general functions. One thing you got to understand is that it's really only 2, and that's to invoke maximum employment and ensure price stability. And those are 2 things that they're not doing. And that is formally known as the dual mandate. Look it up. You'll see that nonsense was all over the place back in the day. Bloomberg, FT, you name it. It was all over. So, maximum employment, not happening. You got plenty of people out there just living in the street. So they're clearly underemployed, not properly employed, or not employed at all. Price stability. They say inflation is going down. However, your cost of living is constantly going up. Good luck reconciling that fact. So the Federal Reserve literally conducts the nation's monetary policy, and the FOMC is the team of folks that do it. Once again, they're supposed to promote the stability of the financial system and seek to maximize and contain systemic risks, which we all know they don't do, right? We saw 2020, we saw 2019, 2018, 2015, 2011, 2010, 2009, 2008, 7, 6. I mean, I could keep going. Seriously. This is ridiculous. When are we going to wake up as a people and come to the notion that we need to stop participating and playing this game? People only deal in money because in fake money because they think they have to, when there's real money all over for us to use. So ultimately, we have to take it upon ourselves to learn these things so that we're not succumbing to the trap, because ultimately that's what's going to happen. Because the fact remains that the Federal Reserve is not conducting the nation's monetary policy. They're destroying the nation's monetary policy. They're not promoting the stability of the financial system. They're destabilizing the financial system. They're seeking to maximize and expose all systemic risks possible. I mean, just last week, another bank was taken off the books, just taken over. You didn't even hear about it. They don't want you to hear about it. Some bank in Kansas. They don't want you to know that one day you're just going to wake up and you're no longer going to have dollars. You're going to have CBDC. And then what are you going to do? Good luck. The Fed is no longer promoting the safety and soundness of individual financial institutions. They're shutting them down so that you have no access to financial freedom. They are no longer fostering the payment and settlement system safety and efficiency. Now they have Fed Now, where you are going to be disposed to being watched over. Every transaction you do, wherever you do it, they're going to know. And they're no longer promoting consumer protection and community development. We already know that. I mean, they could talk about inclusion and all that bullshit all they want, but we all know that's just political mumbo jumbo that helps them feel good. Ain't no real nothing behind any of that. That's all bullshit. I mean, let's be honest, right? As a person of color, I'm a person of color. A lot of people out here are person of color. I was literally having this conversation earlier today. Let's keep it 100. How is it that gay people, and actually, fuck, Dave Chappelle has made this fucking point, in fact. Because this is so dumb. This is how dumb this shit is. But we'll buy into it, right? How is it that people of color are inferior to people that apparently want you to know what their sexual orientation is and they want you to applaud it? How is it that they're superior to just regular human beings? This is the world we live in today. And that's why it's literally over, right? I mean, this is why crypto is here. Because all of these people that have instituted these institutions, these regulatory frameworks, this system that doesn't work, all they do is benefit, and all you do is suffer. So we're going to finally go over the last regulatory body, which is the CFTC, Commodity Financial I can't even remember what the fuck CFTC stands for. Who cares? Doesn't even matter. At the end of the day, the system consists of 5 commissioners, with one of the commissioners designated as the chairman by the Senate. Right? Their mandate is to promote, quote unquote, integrity, resilience, and vibrancy of the U.S. derivatives market. Now, what you don't know is that what they really mean here is futures and contracts. Futures markets and contracts, right? And contracts are literally anything. And this is very high level. It's one of the things that caused the financial crisis in 2007 and 8 because nobody oversees this shit. It's a fucking wild. I mean, you think crypto is wild, wild west. You don't fucking know anything, actually, because we're talking about billion-dollar games. Period. Not no fucking chump change. Talking about you clicking fucking $1 million buys. That ain't shit. I'm talking about billion-dollar transactions. This is what brings economies down. And this shit is not regulated. I mean, if you don't know, the biggest market financially is a derivatives market. That shit is probably, I don't know, $1 trillion plus by itself, notionally. I mean, it's ridiculous, the size of that market. It's ridiculous. And these are the things that nobody highlights, nobody talks about. Nobody in crypto even cares about this shit.
Yeah, I wanted to make a point on that because basically what crypto has allowed is allowed the everyday middle class person to play the game, because a lot of these billionaire trillionaire games, you're locked out of it. You know, you don't
100%.
get you don't get to come and be on a venture capitalist call when they're talking about $250 million like it's a piece of candy.
Nope.
You know,
Nope.
you know,
You don't go to idea dinners. You don't get invited to none of that. That's right.
yeah. And so what crypto has allowed is for the regular everyday person, so to speak, to get in on a simulation, because this is all fake. All of it is
Correct.
fake.
That's right.
And that's why, we was having that one BYOB where it was like, none of this is real.
Mm-hmm.
It's all fake.
That's right. It's up to
All
you.
of it.
But that's why it's important to understand it's up to you, right? Ultimately,
Exactly.
right? That's why this basic education is the key. It's so easy to get swept up. Who has the power in the US to even make money, right? Because somebody has to have that power. It's not the fucking Federal Reserve. We allow it to persist. We allow it to continue. We allow ourselves to play these ridiculous games that are not to our benefit. And then on top of that, we don't even go out of our way to learn the freaking rules. So we're losing all the way around. So why don't we just play a better game, a game that's suited for us, right? I mean, I think it only makes sense. Those are things to think about. Because at the end of the day, what choice are you going to be given? Not a great one, right? I mean, look at the choices you've been given your entire life. I mean, let's talk about Congress's coinage power, right? Then this is from Article 1, Section 8, Clause 5. Right? And this is coming straight out of the Constitution. Okay, this is very, very important. The Congress shall have power to coin money, regulate the value thereof, and a foreign coin, because we're talking about domestically. Capiche? And fix the standard of weights and measures. So let's continue on. Because Article 1, Section 10, Clause 1 of the Constitution prohibits the states from coining money. FYI. The Supreme Court has recognized Congress's coinage power to be exclusive, meaning the Federal Reserve only exists because Congress allows them to. Are we connecting some dots now? The Supreme Court has also construed Congress's power to coin money and regulate the value thereof to authorize Congress to regulate every phase of currency. Congress may charter banks, Federal Reserve Board, and endow them with the right to issue circulating notes, Federal Reserve Board, and it may restrain the circulation of notes not issued under its own authority, Federal Reserve Board. To this end, it may impose a prohibitive tax upon the circulation of notes of state banks or municipal corporations. Oh, that falls under securities law. Inasmuch as every contract, payment of money, simply is necessarily subject to the constitutional power of the government of the currency, whatever that power may be, and the obligation of the parties is therefore assumed with reference to that power. The Supreme Court sustained the power of Congress to make Treasury notes legal tender in satisfaction of antecedent debts. Now, all that crap is saying only Congress determines who the coin maker is. So at the end of the day, if we the people cannot force Congress to do what's right, then we the people must do what's right for ourselves. And this is why crypto, once again. And this again leads us directly into the significance of PulseChain and PulseX right now, at this moment in time, with Hex as the premier store of value. I mean, you couldn't write this up any better. You have people that are literally out of their depth, don't know what cryptocurrency is, trying to attack cryptocurrency. It's almost comical because we, the people, could stop it at a moment's notice. All we got to do is say so. And that's a fact. So the question becomes, are you with the 5 W's of crypto? Are you willing to learn the 5 W's of crypto? Are you willing to understand what it takes to engage the PulseChain ecosystem, to be able to respect the fact that we have a decentralized exchange in pulsex.com that allows us to freely transact and exercise our freedom to transact, because that's being squeezed at every turn. We're seeing the censorship economy explode in real time, right? And we've been talking about this for years. People didn't want to believe it, but it's a real thing. So these are things you got to really think about very long and hard. You were given the 5 Ws of crypto. You were given the significance and the mandates of these regulatory bodies and how they're missing the mark at every turn. So now the question becomes, are you willing to respect the significance of the work that has been put forth by Richard Hart to allow us to experience real crypto so that we can decentralize the things that need to be decentralized and take back what we need to take back in order to actually progress? Because there's a lot of things that we can want, but it doesn't matter if we're not willing to do what we need to do to get them and attain them. We're just wanting to want. Who cares? Nobody. And I'm done. Now we can open it up to the floor. Whoever has questions, you guys want to chime in, go right ahead, man. Appreciate you guys. Thank you guys
No,
for joining.
man, that was pure heat. I hope people were paying attention, taking notes, and understanding what's led us up into this point in history. And it's a pivotal point in history where we have a window open for you to extract the funny money that's been pushed inside of the system, and you can actually benefit from network effect.
That's right.
See, the network effect in the legacy market, the actual gains were the game was rigged for only certain people to experience exponential growth. There's still a lane within this crypto sphere for you to benefit from. Well, people talk about Metcalfe's law and basically a revolution that's happening with the internet was people are waking up to that the game is rigged, and they're trying to find a place to outpace inflation and outpace crooked regulatory bodies that you just kind of went over.
Right. Yeah, and they're prevalent. Those are just some of them. I didn't even, I
Right.
could have did a whole 2-hour thing. I mean, it's crazy because the ultimate problem is that people just don't know enough, and that's how they continue to win. And people don't want to learn enough. They really think it's a shortcut thing, and I'm sorry, there's no shortcuts here. You really got to know what the hell is going on, because they're gonna press every fucking angle possible, because that's what the fuck they do.
Yep.
Period.
And the benefit of being in the RH ecosystem is that he's laid out a platform of education to where basically you get to cut the line in understanding.
Correct.
The one of the benefit, but one of the unfortunate things about us not having regulation is that you have to be self-taught and you have to be willing to be patient enough to learn.
Right.
The real cool aspect that I really appreciated about the Hex ecosystem and Richard Hart ecosystem is that it was constant teaching on, okay, why are you here? You want profit, don't you?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so what are you looking for in crypto? These are the things that'll get you murdered. These are the things that'll get you wrecked.
Right.
These are the essential things that you need to understand about crypto to protect yourself. This is how tokenomics works. This is what people look for.
Right.
So you're learning, you're being fast tracked when you come into the RH ecosystem on crypto.
You are fast tracked 100 miles an hour, because nobody's sending you to no gimmick. No gimmick supply here. And that's very important. I wish I would have started with that. That's critical. No gimmick supply here. All the information you're getting is verifiable. It's information that you need. Nobody's trying to give you what you might need. I mean, this is what you need. You need the basic facts, the basic information that's going to allow you to make the right decisions. It's not about, getting a 10X. It's about getting all the X's, period.
Right.
And I think people just miss that, Now, Disciple, I appreciate you, brother. I want to open the floor for some questions. If anybody has any questions, now is the time. Appreciate you.
Yes, sir.
I guess I'll just start talking. Uh, so there's two people in crypto that have completely changed my perspective and kept me here through nothing but straight knowledge, grit, and determination. The one person is Richard Hart, and the other person is Mr. Wells Only. Your
Appreciate that,
your
man.
information, man, that you bring to people, y'all gotta listen to this guy, man. Like, he's completely changed like the way that I like me like 3 years ago versus now. I feel so much like more mentally free. So I would have a question for you, but I've been listening to you for so long. But I just had like I can't sit here and like listen to you bring out this information to people and like just comprehend like how much digging it takes to like to bring this to people in such a way that you do that like I just appreciate you, man. You know, I know time's limited and everything, but yeah,
Appreciate it,
keep up
bro.
the good work, man. I'm always gonna be like trying to download as much of that information as I can.
Appreciate that,
Yeah.
brother. Appreciate you, man. Peace.
Go ahead, Crypto Nate. Go ahead.
I don't know. I just wanted to say what's up with y'all. What's up, brothers? How y'all been?
What's up, brother? What's up,
What's
man?
going
Just
on, man?
chilling, dude. Enjoying another lovely Wednesday here in beautiful states.
Yeah, you're right about that, man. I just want to say, like, hey, y'all just keep y'all head in the game. You know, we always get through the bullshit, no matter what. And Wells, you keep up the good work, bro, because I remember since day one. So,
Appreciate you, brother.
yep, there you go. Because I gotta go, y'all. But hey, that's cool. I like what I'm hearing from you. Like I said, keep up the good work. Y'all keep your head up, keep your mind free. This, like I said, this bullshit was set aside, and we will all persevere because we all believe.
Period.
Absolutely, brother. Appreciate you as well, man. Appreciate you coming in, tuning in, hanging out the whole time with that hand up as well. So appreciate that as well, my boy. But guys, yeah, much love to everyone who's in here right now, listening in on the stream, gathering all this information. Because again, guys, at the end of the day, you got to take in as much information as you can. There's certain levels when you start learning that you have to either stop learning and continue to be ignorant to certain things, or you must continue to learn as well in order to become proficient at them. There's a level in between where you just think you know, but you don't know shit. And that's a very dangerous place to be. So, again, if you are gathering information, you are listening in, you are taking this in, continue to seek out this information as well. Yeah, I mean, Wells is dropping some absolute fire, of course, as always. Um, and yeah, much love to everyone, man. But yeah, Thoughts Child, what's up, man?
What's going on, brother?
What up, family? How y'all feel? Good to see the
Good, man.
people who are here. I'm like, I'm happy and I'm proud, but at the same time, I'm a little disappointed, not surprisingly, because I want 700 hexagons and pulse chaniacs in here right now. You know what I mean? I really do. And it's Wales and I have been brothers since I came in 2.5 years ago, about 100 days after him, around day 420, man. We had that connection because, it wasn't about our own benefit. It was just that we didn't have a choice. We had to speak the truth and keep it real, whether it, affected us negatively or not. We were going to walk, we were going to talk and walk, in the same manner that was consistent. He's a younger brother, and I know this ain't fucking suck dick whales time and shit, but I just wanna, give my man a shout. He's a younger brother than me, but I've taken his wisdom and guidance in a way that kind of honors how uncanny it is. Look, I talk the way I do, and I'm cursed and blessed with my vocabulary. And Wales he checked me all the time, and he'd just be like, "Yo, man, you need to, comport yourself in a modality of being able to say shit that people can fucking understand, bro." And I'd be like, "Yo, I'm trying, man." And he's like, And I want to thank him for that, because I do pause. I do like take pause, and I think, are they just shaking their head at me because it sounds good, or are they shaking their head because they truly understand?
Right.
And that's well, look at this motherfucker, Dolo.
What's up,
What
guys?
up,
What up? What up?
Dolo?
Yeah, great,
How you feel, family?
What's going
great,
on, brother?
It's a good night.
great space tonight, bro. 100%.
Thank you, man.
Yeah.
Appreciate that, brother.
I thought hell froze over, yo. I thought hell froze over because Wales is in a Twitter space.
Yeah, I'm typically anti Twitter Spaces because people try to make them like, I don't know, some type of like open forum, and that's cool if that's what you're with. But I'm not trying to have a debate. Like, I can have debates on the block. I don't need to do that on social media.
Exactly.
So yeah, I'm not here for that. I'm just here to provide specific information and keep it moving. Because I got shit to do. So
No doubt.
that's all.
No doubt.
we all got stuff to do, and again, at the end of the day, what are we trying to do here? We're trying to build a better future because nobody's going to provide it for us. And the only way that we're going to find the level of success that we desire is by going after what we want.
Look, can I say one more thing real quick? Dolo, I hate to hop over you here, but I got to say something. And Wales, I want to know if you and the killers here, agree with me. But I would like to see everyone in this community keep a notebook and make 2 columns in it. And on the one column, I think maybe we should keep track of who show improve, who steps correctly, who represents. And then in the other column, I would like for us to be like Malana Karenga and have some long memory on this shit, man. Like,
yeah,
like
man.
Uniswap, man. Fucking Uniswap.
Yeah,
Piss me
that was
off,
crazy, man. It's funny.
Yeah.
When I first heard that, I think I know me and ATX were like, that's fake news because we can still
Bro.
access it. It hadn't reached us.
Yeah.
So whatever happened, it took some time, but it eventually reached our sites, and what they're doing is they're blocking it through the website.
Yep.
So that
well, there's as many feds on that board.
As
There's as many feds on that board as MetaMask, as Consensus,
sure.
JP Morgan. There's as many feds and ex-military, ex-Black Ops, CIA, and such over there at Uniswap now as there is in MetaMask. And I didn't even know that.
Yeah, well, that's how they do it. And
Right, because that's something that we shouldn't fucking know.
Well,
Let's just be real. Like,
you should
the motherfuckers
know.
decentralized, just let it be decentralized, brother. Just like show the world what decentralized means,
You
And they're
should
like,
know. You should know. You have to know what.
block something.
But dude, to be honest, yeah, I know you wanted to say something. As soon as that came out, I hopped on a space, and the first thing I said is, "This is why we have the other chain. It doesn't matter. Like
right.
it truly doesn't matter." And then you start seeing everything. If you have the Hex Whale bot on, you start noticing like, oh shit, there's this much ETH moving over. Or shit, there's this much DAI moving over. And you start seeing people start to notice that they have to move. There's no other choice.
Right. Right. And I mean, now with the proliferation of PulseChain and PulseX, I mean, it's going to become more obvious over time, especially now with the waves that we're making publicly. And now with the movie coming out, I mean, this couldn't be more perfect timing, right? And they're doing the work for us. They're doing all the heavy lifting. I mean, it's incredible. And I'm all about it, honestly.
It was as
knock
if it was
yourselves
meant.
out because when you're out of place, you're out of place. They're out of place. They're out of bounds. And this is really what's important to understand. Jurisdiction is anything. And as soon as these folks walk into a room, they're going to get kicked right the fuck out because they're not in the right jurisdiction.
Yep.
Nobody here is issuing securities. Nobody here has any expectation of profit from the work of others. And it's really that simple.
And the person they're looking for ain't even in the States, so it doesn't even matter.
It doesn't matter because they have no jurisdiction.
Yeah, exactly.
Again, it's not even out there. It's over people.
Understood.
So you can literally do whatever you want as an individual until you go and say, hey, I want to issue some stock. There ain't nothing for them to talk to you about, or some bonds or some warrants or whatever.
Yep.
There's nothing for them to talk to you about. That is only when you become under their purview. or you're doing something finance related, that's security related, something like that.
Mhm.
That's really the only time. Other than that, why would they be looking at a hardware store? You tell me. I don't know.
Yeah. I'm
Right?
glad you broke that whole you broke that whole scenario down. You broke everything down. The fact that
Yeah.
like they they need to take those steps to try to get to think that they're trying to get to us, but then at the same time, like the people that understand that they can't get to us, they the fact that everybody's in crypto and nobody understands this shit is kind of crazy. Like this
Yeah.
shit is crazy. Like
Yeah.
that's the shit
It's
that blows my
dangerous.
mind. And then you got the people
Yeah, it's
defending it
dangerous.
by like joking and
Right.
laughing about like somebody's shit going down or getting blocked, but it's like you know this whole ecosystem is about all of us doing it and all of us being able
Man,
to
there's
transact with
motherfuckers
this
that
shit.
think that Robin Hood shit's still
Oh
fungible,
my
man.
God. Oh
You
my
think
God.
Yeah, but again, this is why education is so imperative, and we just have to keep pushing that, beating that drum until we can't beat it anymore. Because what else can we do? Honestly, we can't do anything else.
beat that ass?
Well, we're also probably by far the most outspoken community that you're going to find as well. So we're already taking the front on that as well. Like, you know what I mean?
Most
So no matter
educated too.
what,
Well,
yeah,
to be
yeah,
honest,
exactly.
we're the only like community with real people because like
Well,
the way
yeah,
I
that's true
look at
too.
it, if you're on Twitter and you're hopping on a space to have these conversations, most of the people that are hopping on these spaces and or making spaces and having these conversations, they're not really having these conversations and they're spoofing accounts. You know what I mean? So
True.
it's like, so are there real people actually listening, or you just got a bot running a bunch of accounts with fake pictures and fake people with fake followers, acting like there are people, thousands of people listening to the shit that they're talking about?
Right, right. Because that's definitely what it seems like for sure.
I
Just
wanted
wait till
to
they
add
integrate
something.
AI.
I want salute to everybody, but Wells, what you did tonight was well appreciated, and I think the community, those who really have ears, can listen and use this information to sort of like dispel any fears and anxiety and confusion that they can have right now, because a lot of times we may feel like we're well equipped or we're ready for anything, and then events like what took place yesterday and what's going
Oh
on
yeah,
now can throw us off. But
for
the
sure.
basic fundamentals that you just expressed right here, that everybody could find on their own time, I hope that just adds some relief, right? And
Right.
yo, hats off to you, man,
Appreciate that, brother.
for real, and the whole Pulse Nation and everybody here. And like Dot said, I wish more people would have been here to listen, but it's okay because this is gonna spread anyway.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know
A
what I'm
lot of people
saying? Like,
couldn't make it. A lot of people couldn't make it. They was letting us know that they couldn't make it in advance, which is all
Well,
good.
and y'all,
But
this is recorded as well. So this
Exactly.
is
yeah,
actually going up on
it's a
YouTube
fact.
afterwards. So yeah, just FYI.
It's a
word,
fact.
word, word.
And I gotta hop off too, man. But yo, it's all love. You know
Yeah, I
what
gotta
it
wrap
is,
in a little
man.
bit. Yeah, I gotta wrap in a little bit because I'm busy too. But yo, look, guys, this is something we're gonna try to do often. We're trying to just keep it very low key in terms of what the conversation is about. Is very, very plain Jane. Is really getting the right information out there. Not so much having debates and all of that. There's no debate to be had. This is what's right. I don't give a fuck about your opinion
No doubt.
because this is what's right. If you want to make up some shit, make it up and make it great. Until then, this is what's right.
Yo, that's what's up. Yo, guys, I'm streaming right now, by the way, and you all here are invited to the stream if you want to keep the conversation going for everybody to hear. Thoughts Child's channel. I got a stream going right now. It's called Don't Sweat the Technique in honor of Eric B. and Rakim.
Boom. There you go, guys. There's one place for y'all to go after this.
Yeah.
So check it, guys. We're
Appreciate
gonna
that.
do this again. If anybody got any last words, y'all can drop them right now. We're gonna wrap them up in a couple minutes, though.
Yeah, yeah. So I know that you read that entire filing. So you got a lot of words, man. But like, I want you to pick one to describe that case.
What filing? The one the SEC filed?
Yeah, the SEC versus RH.
No, I don't have to read that. You don't understand. It's pointless to read that.
It's literally not worth the time.
That's my answer.
Yeah, it's pointless. Anybody that read that is just wasting their time because they don't understand that the SEC has literally
No
no jurisdiction.
jurisdiction, exactly.
Period. They wasted their time filing that. It was just a news event for us. Thanks, guys. You did all the work. Appreciate you.
Thanks for
Whatever.
promoting the movie. Thanks for bumping
Correct.
it up. Appreciate y'all.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's all of it.
Yeah. I mean, they're
Free
not
global promotion.
pretty much. Yeah. I mean, they're not hindering anything. In fact, they're helping. So carry on, gents. You know,
Yeah,
and
I agree.
ladies.
I
Well,
agree,
and
man.
the obvious way to actually see that as well, gentlemen, is and ladies, is actually the fact that RH is still out there tweeting, still handling his business, still
Pretty
doing the
much.
same thing that he's always doing.
Yeah.
What
Business
I
as
would
usual.
imagine, which would make it even more bullish, is if we actually see any update to PLSX. If we see
Right.
an update to PulseX during this nonsense, that just means that there ain't no worries in my mind at that point.
Yo,
Pretty much.
ATX. Did he not tweet about like some testnet shit? Like,
Yeah, he
Immediately,
did.
it
Yeah,
Yeah,
was
he
like
did.
two
yeah, he
hours
I
did.
love
after all
it.
that stuff went public and everyone
He
was
sure
going around
did.
talking about it. It was like 2 hours later, he's like, boom, hey guys, Bridge testnet V2 is up. Check it out.
Sure did. Yeah,
I
he
was
sure
like, all
He
right,
did.
said a
that's one
lot.
tweet. He
Yep.
tweeted again today. You know what I mean? He tweeted again today. But all I'm saying is, like, if I see an update to PulseX, damn, boys. Oh, my God. Ladies and
It's
gents.
gonna be
That's
serious.
bullish. That's bullish to me.
Yo, his
Mm-hmm.
tweets today were like about principles and serious shit, right? But it
All
speaks
of it.
volumes. It
Yeah.
speaks volumes that he chose that fucking tweet he did yesterday. That speaks
He
volumes, man.
basically just told everybody what he tweeted today was basically just get off my dick, bro. Like you can't do nothing about it.
Have
Pretty
you
much.
seen his retention? Like the or the like look how much
The
attention
engagement.
he's getting, man. Like just scroll through his tweets. He's getting like Richard Hart is getting tons more attention right now.
Yeah, I mean, the obvious thing to do is just go look at how many Twitter followers he has, right? I mean, he was up to like 320,000 at one point that I know of. I don't know what the last number ended up being. But yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
the
he's up
number's
there.
constantly going up. Yeah, 329 now, 329,000.
Man, you remember the fight for 300K? I remember that fight.
Yeah, it was a while, man. But appreciate you guys. Gonna wrap it up here. I gotta head out. We'll
Like,
do it
share,
again.
subscribe, all this good stuff to every single one of these beautiful people up here, y'all.
For sure,
Much love
man.
to every single one of y'all who made it through. We'll
For
definitely
sure.
be catching you on the next one.
Appreciate you guys, man. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Thank you to everybody that's listened live and that will be listening in the future. I appreciate you guys' time, and I hope to be able to provide some value once again in the future. Enjoy. Peace.
Peace.
Well, how about